Page 35, hot air balloon. On page 34, they're introducing you to half steps, and we're going to start using the black keys. This is a good time to, if you're a little confused, you don't understand the symbols, you're not quite getting it, go back and start the book again and review everything. And if you can't remember the symbols from the previous book because we've been using them, do the previous book again. Take your time with this, because now that we're starting in on the black keys, things are going to get a little more involved. Okay, with that said, let's go on. On page 34, I talk about half steps. Half steps are really, really important in piano because that's like an atom is part of, okay, a half step is the smallest we can go. I mean, you can have parts of an atom, but a half step in music is the smallest distance you can go note to note. A half step. Remember we said a step is the next note up or down? Well, with a half step, it's the next note up or down, white or black. Now we're going to use the black keys too. For instance, let's see what we got here. If I have a G and I want to go up a second, here, we go here. Next note up. It's a step up. That step we call steps and skips. Okay, we could say a whole step. Sometimes we refer to a step as a whole step. Okay. But if I want to go up a half step, I go to the next note on the keyboard, white or black. Here. That's a half step. And you know, two halves make a whole. That's why a whole step is here. Because it's a half step and a half step, and two halves make a whole. So they're half steps. If I go up this way, use all the notes. I'm going up half steps. Yeah. I could go down half steps, doesn't matter. Up or down a half step. Now, they're introducing you to a new symbol there in the middle of the page on 34. It's the line's going, okay. I think today's generation would call it a hashtag. In my generation, we would call it a pound sign or a number sign or something like that. Technically, all those signs are a little different. They all have two lines going up and down and two lines going across. And that's what we're after, the tic-tac-toe pattern, sort of. It's called a sharp sign. A sharp is simply an indication that you play the note in the music a half step higher than normal, where you'd normally play. So let's go back to the G. I use a different G. Here we go. If I want a G sharp, and we say the note and then the sharp, I go up a half step. So that note is a G sharp. That's what we call it. You see, so the black keys tell us what the white keys are, because in relation to the groups of 2 and 3, we know what the white keys are. And now the white keys are going to tell us what the black keys are by the sharps and later on other things. But right now, sharps. So I have a C, I have a C sharp. An A, I can have an A sharp. I have an E, I can have an E sharp. Yes, there is such a thing as an E sharp. And you think, no, that's an F. Yes, it is an F. But in music, it could also be an E sharp because it went up one note, white or black, up a half step. You see, all the keys on the piano, white and black, have multiple names. Is this just wonderful? Just have a cup of coffee or a beer or whatever works for you. Just calm down. We'll get there. It makes sense. Sort of. So we first learned the basic names of it, A through G, for the white keys. Now, the black keys, you could simply take each of those white keys, sharp it, and that's the black keys. So this would be a C sharp, that would be an E sharp, this would be an F sharp, G sharp, that works. But these notes, and here, they don't have a black key. Well, the next note up then is the sharp. So this is an E sharp, and this is a D sharp. It has to do with theory and harmony and making things work out like. It'll make more sense later on, maybe, but right now just take it at face value, that's what it is. Now in the music, the sharp sign will appear in front of the note. But when we say it, we say the note first and then sharp. So it's an F sharp. The music is saying sharp the F. We say F sharp. Whatever. Just play the black key above it. Yeah. And for now, as far as the fingering goes, we're going to use the same finger on the black key as we would use on the white key, depending on what position we're in. So I'll talk about that when we get to blue. Now they give you some sight reading things there, but the C and the C sharp and the F and the F sharp, you can do those if you want. Let me know if you have questions. Now let's see what this balloon is up to. I look it over, it's 3 lines long. See, the music is getting a little more involved, but I just used the same process. It doesn't matter how complicated the music gets. This process works throughout. And you'll have your process that works throughout, I hope. For now, we can use mine. Or the one I use. It's not my process, it's the one I use. It doesn't belong to anybody. I got off. All right. We decided it was 3 lines long, and it's kind of tricky looking. The clef signs are treble and bass clef. The time signature now is 3/4 time. So we're not going to see any whole notes here, but we do have the dotted half notes. The right hand and left hand are both playing at the same time, so I'm going to take it one hand at a time. Let's make sure we know what each hand is doing. The right hand starts here. And the hand position is here, all white keys. And that's kind of important. I'll explain more later when we get into key signatures. Right now it's here. And when I need the F sharp, I'm going to take the finger that's on the F, which is 3rd finger, and I'm simply going to move it up to the F sharp, long enough to play the note, and then it comes back. So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, get it? It's the last line. It's the last 3 measures. You have an E and an A together, 2, 3, and then last measure you have a D and an F sharp together. So the sharp sign is in front of the F, so it's here. I forgot to mention there's rules that go with these symbols. I'll talk more about them a little later on. These symbols are called accidentals. When they put sharps like this, it's called an accidental. Not because it's an accident, it's because it's temporary. People don't agree on the rule. I'll talk about that more later. Right now, just remember, it applies to the staff it's in, to the measure it's in, and that's it. So in the second measure here, you have that sharp sign in front of the F. That applies only to that measure. So these other measures, if they want F sharps, and they do, they have to add sharp signs in front of those also. Here. And if there were an F in the left hand, a bottom staff, it would have to have a sharp sign in front of it also to be an F sharp. Each staff has to have its own set of symbols. They can't share them. Now, back to what I was doing. I keep getting off. Right hand. Oh, left hand. There. We're here. So 1, 2, 3, no big deal. And then at the end of the line, you get a D and an F together. D and an A together, excuse me. I know that's an A. And that's tied, so you hold it down for 6 counts. And then measure 7, it's a G. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And they've labeled the curved lines. I'll come back to those a little later. Just right now, it's the notes and rhythms. Now we get the F sharp going on. This is measure 9. So I'm going to use 3rd finger because that's on F. I hear 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. And then at the end, measure 13. 1, 2. That's held down for 2 counts. Plus a fermata, so you hold it down forever or until you get tired of listening to it and then let go. Okay, put the hands together. So we're here. 1, 2, 3. And these are together. 2, 3. 2. 1, 2, 3. Now these are together. All here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. And then these together. The right hand's tied. You just here. And again, I'll talk about the slur later. The tie you got already. 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, and then 1, 2. So I put the hands together, and then I go back over it slowly and carefully, and I work out the hesitation so that it can be a steady beat. You need to get to this where you don't need to look at the keyboard either. You can feel where the black key is in relation to where you are, and you can just feel where to put your finger without having to look. Eventually, you have to look at first, but you want to get to where you don't. Then the articulation. This is pretty connected. You can lift up here, lift up, lift It's a difference of opinion. It's interpretation. How do you feel it? You can lift up, treat each of these lines, curved lines, like a phrase, or you can treat them like slurs. And in that case, you don't separate in between them. You could connect it all. That's like a sentence, or it's almost like every 4 measures was a sentence, a musical thought. So I could lift up, connect, now. Okay, like 2 sentences. It's interpretation. How do you feel it should be? On measure 7 and 8, on the left hand, that's a slur, because that's not a musical thought. That's not a musical sentence, but they're telling you to connect the notes. Because if they don't tell you, you could disconnect it. Because that's part of interpreting the music. It would be up to you. But now that they've told you to slur it, you got to connect it. I think I'm going to do this in 4 measure sentences, 4 measure phrases. I'm going to lift up every 4 measures for the melody, wherever it is. Now, once I have the articulation under control, then I'll think about the dynamics. Remember, the dynamics apply to the melody, wherever it is. P at the beginning is piano or soft. What is soft? Well, I don't know. You decide. And then on measure 9, gradually louder. They want you to gradually get louder until measure 13 when you're loud. So you're going to go from soft to loud. Again, you got to plan it out, or you'll be loud by measure 10. You'll get loud too soon. So measure 9, I'm still soft here. You can go out just a hair, maybe a measure at a time. Just come up just a little bit. Soft, a little louder, a little louder, a little louder. Now loud. Now gradually softer, you go back down. And here, there's not too much going on, too many notes. Here, you can get, each note can get a little softer here. Loud, little. Each one can get a little. And I started getting softer, in the last 3 measures. So where the F is, that's loud. That measure's loud. Loud. Now come down. Here, and soft. You need to feel these dynamics. Remember the natural accents? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, feel those all the way through. As far as the speed goes, it says flowing gently. So it's like, think of a balloon up there in the sky, and it's just kind of floating along. I think of a cloud floating along, whatever. There is a ritardando above the staff in the third to the last measure. They didn't put it in between the measures because it's kind of crowded. It doesn't matter where it is. It's there. So you'd start slowing down if you think of it. That's part of interpreting the music. How much you slow down or whatever, feel it. Let's play this together slowly and check the notes and the rhythms. I'm not going to do louds and softs, just notes and rhythms. And that last measure with the fermata, I'll hold that for 6 counts instead of 3, because I'm just going to double it. So I'll give us 3 counts, and let's try it slowly. 1, ready, go. 1, 2. 2, 3. 2. 2, 3. 2. 3, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 2. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, off. There's a duet for this at the bottom of the page. I'd like to play that. I'm going to speed it up just a little bit. Now, I can't slow down at the end. That doesn't work. I'm going to hold the fermata 6 counts instead of 3 at the end. So I'll give us 3 counts. 1, ready, go.